Today being National Freedom Day, Amnesty International South Africa says that true freedom can only be celebrated if human rights are a reality for everyone. And that's always. We speak now to Mienke Steytler, who's a media officer at Amnesty International South Africa. Thanks so much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for having me.
Right. Happy Freedom Day. And as your organization is saying, it can only be a happy one if everybody gets to enjoy it in the same way.
Exactly, and we feel very strongly about that. We feel that, of course, these are uncertain times, and the government has, taken swift action, and it's been praised for it by the WHO as well. But there are two things we just want to highlight, and that is that post-COVID-19, what is the service delivery going to look like then? Is there long-term thinking? Because what the virus has also done is it's really highlighted the inequalities that existed prior to the pandemic. And it's important that now is the time to actually really concretely, transparently, accountably start fixing these inequalities: water, safety, adequate housing, even with the police and the National Defence Force on the ground, just to be sure that there are also, civil liberties, that brutality is not tolerated. And that's our message for today, for Freedom Day, is that yes, we celebrate it, but let's think to the future and let's make it really a reality for everybody going forward as well.
Perhaps not even so much into the future, because healthcare is going to be something that we're going to see come into play much more in the coming days.
Definitely, yes, exactly. So healthcare is probably top of mind. It's really showing the divisions in the way in which, where you are born, what the color of your skin is, what sort of health care you can get during this crisis. But it's not only about COVID-19, it's about other diseases, other conditions, and just the quality that we should all be treated equally when it comes to things like healthcare. But not only that, even the water crisis, and I've spoken about it before on your show, even the water crisis, some people have water coming out of their taps always, and it's clean and it's healthy. But then there's so many thousands and millions of people who have not had that for years, and maybe now have more access to it, some of them, although we are receiving reports that not everybody yet. But this needs to be going into the future: healthcare and water, food parcels. We've also seen that the deep impact that the lockdown has had on people's need for food or for food security. It's probably the thing that worries us as an organization. As one of the big things that worries us is just that if people become hungry, they become upset, they maybe don't fear death so much anymore, and they will go to desperate measures to get their hands on food or to move around. So for us today is obviously a fantastic day, and it's important to remember all the sacrifices that were made for these freedoms, but it's also important to remember that the struggle continues. As the struggle fighters said back in the day, "Alita continua." So the struggle continues, and we can never ever lose sight of these freedoms, and we can never ever lose sight of the continual checks and balances that must take place to ensure that everybody has human rights.
I was speaking to Professor Tinyiko Maluleke a little bit earlier on, and this kind of points to my next question. I'm sure that the authorities are well aware of everything that you've mentioned, but perhaps what it is that it hasn't been urgent enough before. And this pandemic has really mobilized quite a lot of things quite quickly. And that same urgency perhaps should be seen post-COVID-19.
Exactly. We feel a bit disappointed and sad, but one can't look back into the past, one must look forward. But we feel a bit disappointed and sad that certain things that are basic human rights that could have been provided to people years and years ago could have actually meant that this response to the COVID virus or to the coronavirus wouldn't be, had to have been so hectic. But yes, let's leave the past in the past and look forward. And as you say, that level of urgency that everybody is feeling now. And it was said earlier as well that this is the time for everyone to work together, to come together as a nation, the government, corporates, civil society, every single individual, and that we must keep the sense of urgency going and not become complacent at all. And all the responses have to be centered in human rights. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that this week as well, that this has become a human rights crisis, and it's all connected. It's not only about health, it's about a number of rights. And let's look forward and, as you say, keep the urgency going.
All right, thanks so much indeed. Always great talking to you, and thanks for raising these very important issues. And let's keep our authorities honest, and let's make them be urgent going forward. Thanks so much indeed for your time, and enjoy the rest of your Freedom Day.
Thank you. You too. Thanks, Peter.